Hey, everybody off the Mike Sports Network here. Cavs thoughts. Bear with me. This is going to be a kind of a therapy session. And for you Cavs fans who subscribe to the channel, bear with me for a second. It's all fresh in my mind. The Cavs are out in 5 games. They lose 114 to 105 to the Indiana Pacers. Listen, I didn't know how I was going to handle this, and I kept, believing in myself that a 64-win team, one of the best offensively rated teams, and a team that historically annihilated the Miami Heat in the first round, and they're out in 5 games, losing all 3 games at home, all 3 that they could have easily won. Game 1, we know, hey, they had some injuries down the stretch. Darius Garland didn't play game 2, one of the great collapses in the history of the league. And then, game 4, they get historically blown out, down by 44 points, as many points as that. And, here we are. They had a 19-point lead early on in this game. It looked like we were heading for game 6. And listen, I've been on Indiana a lot this series because I didn't like their physical play, specifically Ben Mather, and Aaron Nesmith was a little bit over the line. But I got to give credit to these guys, man. And Halliburton, who could rub some people the wrong way. Every single time that the Cavs tried to make a push to make it interesting, and Donovan Mitchell missed 3 free throws, they were gassed, dude. They were just out of energy. Like, Indiana literally plays with pace. They play so damn fast that for a 48-minute game, if you don't have good stamina and you're handling the ball the whole time like Donovan Mitchell is, and with the amount of impact and with the amount of force that he plays with, you're just going to run out of gas. And yes, he made some threes down the stretch, but it was an uphill battle when they fell behind by double digits. And, Indiana just made all the clutch plays in this series outside of one game where the Cavs just absolutely blew them off the floor. And I give credit to them, man. Rick Carlisle is a championship coach. This team went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. They've been one of the best teams in the NBA since the start of 2025. And you know what? A lot of us just missed the boat on Indiana. That being said, this is a complete failure by the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a complete failure. Because, yes, all of the stuff that I said is true. Indiana made every clutch play. But there were moments in this series, game 4, also game 2, where they blew that lead, whether they were undermanned or not. And then, Miles then missing box outs at the end of game 2. And then like a huge opportunity to get a rebound. Miles Turner just pushes Jared Allen to get position, which was a legal play, gets the rebound. It leads to a 3. And that was the story of this. We're back to revisiting the referendum. And I said, hey, maybe we shouldn't break up the team. We need to have a serious conversation about what the future of this team looks like. I don't know how they're going to do it and reconfigure this team, but they need to have a serious conversation about some other things because something needs to be tweaked here. Because whether it's a regular season or not, they had the size advantage in this series. And for some reason, Indiana, like Miles Turner had 5 blocks in this game. Miles Turner is like the only 7-footer on this team. Pascal Siakam was outstanding in this game. Like, they got whatever they wanted. They got whatever they wanted. At the end of this thing, like, they started shooting horribly. They ended up shooting 50%. They hit 15 threes. The Cavs were 9-35. They were 38%. They had a horrible offensive game plan. They played a bunch of hero ball. I don't know where this whole thing went wrong. Kenny Atkinson needs to wear this. Donovan Mitchell needs to wear this. The whole core 4 needs to wear this. Max Strus was horrible in this game. Ty Jerome didn't wake up until this game, so that's another issue. You can bring back certain pieces of this team and try to run it back because the Eastern Conference is going to be wide open because, hey, Indiana, New York are probably going to be the main teams because they're going to probably be the 2 teams playing for the championship or for the Eastern Conference championship. And then, the Celtics, I don't know what the hell they're going to look like, but there needs to be some tough decisions evaluated here by Kobe Altman because they put together this team. They brought in the coach of the year, and they're out in the second round as a 1 seed, getting completely punked by a 4 seed. And that being said, Indiana is much better than the number next to their name, but we all missed the boat on this. We all did. And like I said, I give credit to Indiana. They were the more physical team. And I'll chalk it up to this. Injuries, also not really having like much of a solid, view of, hey, they played them really twice this season. And neither time was any team fully healthy. And then at the end of the year, you had 2 games near the end of the year where it meant nothing. So there was really no firm grasp And I think the Darius Garland piece of this whole thing was really a problem and got this thing off on the wrong foot. Devin Mobley, we don't know how healthy he was, but Indiana was the better team in this series. Outside of one game, those coin flip moments, they made the big plays and they, basically stabbed the Cavs in the heart. And as a result, one of the great regular seasons of all time, they're out in the second round. And, insert Atlanta Hawks comparisons like of 2015. But guys, if you're going to make that comparison, you're giving the Cavs a little bit too much credit because that Atlanta Hawks team, that team got at least to the conference finals and got swept by LeBron. Okay. So listen, am I upset? Yes. Is this a disappointment and is this a failure? Yes. But there are some caveats to see how the Cavs are going to move forward. But they need to have some hard conversations. First conversation that they need to have. Can you move forward with the double big lineup? Because I think Evan Mobley is only going to get better. Jared Allen, everybody's been talking about Darius Garland maybe being expendable. Listen, I don't know how you're going to pursue with this, but whether it's Darius Garland or Jared Allen, those are the two guys that if you were going to make a move, even though it's going to be really hard with the second apron and the new CBA to do anything significant, Jared Allen got really punked in this series. And this is the third consecutive postseason that Jared Allen has looked like he doesn't belong on the floor. And he's a traditional big. He doesn't really offer you much really of an offensive threat outside of maybe about 10 feet. And he was just getting pushed around. Like there was like I told you, the huge moment in this game, Cavs down 3 and Miles Turner comes flying in for a rebound, beats Jared Allen to the spot. And that was the story of the series is like, effort and toughness. And nobody really who had not watched Indiana, really, everybody thought, hey, they're a finesse team who runs up and down, beats you, and they're not very physical. And their physicality just really bothered the Cavs. They weren't ready for it. And when your big guys are getting pushed around by their big guys, which there are not many Indiana big guys outside of Miles Turner and Siakam, and then Obi Toppin, I guess, counts off the bench. But yeah, and Thomas Bryant was making shots. You have to hand it to Indiana. You just have to hand it to them. As much as it pains me to admit it, the better team won in this series. But there's going to be a lot of tough conversations moving forward about from Kobe Altman and this front office and, everybody within the organization, Kenny Atkins. It's like they're all going to have to wear this. And for Donovan Mitchell, his legacy, like, I understand that he was getting just punked and mugged and just, he was literally on one leg. And I give him credit for that. But again, this is another failure. He can't get to the conference finals. This is the best team that he's ever had. And yeah, some of these guys weren't healthy, but you've got to finish that game in game 2. You've got to finish that game in game 2. You've got to come up with better production and better offense than you did in game 5. Coin flip game in game 1, but it's just Indiana. We didn't account for their experience that they had last year and what that had, how great they were after the turn of the year. They have a championship coach. They have a great lead player in Tyrese Halliburton. And just, it's a phenomenally run team, and it's a great system that was just a complete and utter mismatch for everything that Cavs do. And they just kind of froze and just did not meet the moment when they needed to. Like, threes weren't falling. They were playing way too much hero ball. They went away from what made them effective. And, I guess you could say game 2 maybe kind of broke them a little bit, but it's just like, I don't know, man. I don't know. And I'm knocking over my phone and everything and just knocking things off of the table. We're in mourning, everybody. I'm not going to be this type of guy who's just going to be, fire everybody, move off of everybody. But this is one of those that you're going to have to sit down and really evaluate a lot of things and see what's next, because changes are they're going to have to make tweaks. Like, this is another step when, sometimes great teams have to fail in order to, get over the hump. And, last year they had the built-in excuse with injuries. They have the built-in excuse with injuries this year. But again, I don't even know with the injuries to this team, if everybody was fully healthy, if they would have beaten Indiana. Indiana was just a more clutch team, more physical team. The Cavs just did not have any response for them. And they made the plays, man. So credit to them. It sucks. It's painful. It's another Cleveland failure. And again, we're going to have to start a lot of the off-season content here, but yeah, it's sad. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.